remembers taking their first test in their major specific class? I just took mine last Thursday. Yeah. I have never been that demoralized after a test, let me tell you guys that. And that just got me thinking. The first thing I got out of there, grade replacement. And that got me thinking. Back in high school, I never had grade replacement. Back in high school, it used to be so easy. All I had to do was get, 80s, 90s. I don't think I ever heard a class average of 30. So, and I think this proves the point of how rigorous tech truly is. But why do they want to do that? Why do they want to demoralize so much as to give us an average of a 30 on an exam? Like, that's actually failing. And I don't know, guys, but what I decided to tell myself is that giving us the opportunity for a grade replacement is just like giving us a chance to climb back up after a really hard punch in our face. Or at least that's what I just keep telling myself.
I didn't have any but I did have one but you slid that one in there.
I would also say, I heard this, which isn't on our list of verbal disruptions, but it did, once it came up a couple times, it was like a little, just watch it,
Well, do you have any advice in terms of the clicking? Because sometimes I do that too. My brother does that, so it's common.
That's one of those things that I always say, if you can swallow it, which means you have to slow down just a touch. What happens, you have to look for it, catch it, and after you've caught it a couple of times, then you won't do it again.
So swallow the... I'd say one thing, Tebow, was your volume. It could have been projected louder, I would say. I would say, yes, it was kind of a depressing content. So you don't want to be up there looking about how happy you are projecting, but you also could have projected your volume a little bit louder, I'd say. Body movement, you did move. I guess it was, I don't know, I felt like the kind of the way you walked to each of the recordings was, do you have any comment on that, Nick? In terms of how Tebow?
I was gonna say, when you are walking, don't just make it so usually when people walk, they walk like this. You would kind of turn your body and walk like this. Your feet were facing the wall, and because of that, you look at the wall sometimes instead of the audience. So I was gonna get that for eye contact. Just make sure you're always looking at the audience when you are pacing. And one way to do that is with your feet, to make sure you're not facing the wall with your feet. You're making it more, 45 degrees, and you're naturally walking.
Dylan mentioned the depressing content, which it is. We've all been in that situation, but I think your facial expressions offset that depressing content. Your smile kind of conveys that fighting spirit, like grade replacement. We're gonna get another chance at it. So I think that was really good. That was really good use of facial expressions, of smiles, and of kind of shrugging sometimes. Good job, Mike.
And I thought you did a really, really good job with pauses that eliminated your ums and errs. You didn't have that your first time, and you put your pauses right in the right place so you can think out your content. Do you guys remember your guys' first test at tech? Pause. So that really was very effective throwing your pauses in there.
How would you say was Tebow's hand gestures and eye contact?
Both of them can be improved. You were looking at the ground at these front tables quite a lot. So instead of doing that, try and look at us. It's pretty much as easy as it sounds, but it's a mental hurdle that you just have to force yourself to look at the audience a little bit. And if you want, and if you don't want to look people in the eye, you can look over our heads, so you're not actually looking at anybody, but it looks like you're looking at everybody.
But be careful not to look too much over their heads, because that is bad when they see your chin.
Right,
So
and don't look at the ceiling.
Yeah, don't look at the ceiling. Maybe over here would
Look at
be
people's foreheads.
exactly. Or even in the eye. But
With hand gestures, if you put your shoulders into your hand gestures, because your natural instinct is to pivot your hands at the elbows and you're like a penguin person, which is not especially effective. If you just breathe in and then breathe out and let your shoulders drop and be aware that you have them, it's an entirely, it's an extra hinge that you can use to emote. So if you use your shoulders a bit more, it'll force your hand gestures to be a bit more varied and useful to your speaking.
I was going to add two things too. I've really liked actually from most people I've seen tonight not saying thank you at the end. I don't know how
Yeah,
you,
we've
I don't know how
trained
you
them
got
well,
to do that,
John.
but
We've
well
trained
done.
them well.
And then also the question and kind of getting feedback from the audience about taking class was good, and I think some is hard to do that as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. So good job engaging the audience, and good job overall with pretty much not saying thank you. You know, good start, good end. It's in the middle parts. It's everything everybody has to work on and improve on.
I just want to say that you did a really good job with self-disclosure. That's something that I think your speech completely hinged on. So it takes a lot of strength